We are on our pretest for our fourth test, also known as pretest 4. I assume by this point in time, everybody has done all of the pretest questions, and we're about to go over them now. It's really important that you understand it's not enough to just do the pretest. What you should be doing is finding out if you got anything wrong on the pretest. And then if you did, you have a couple of options. If you can spot through my explanation here exactly what your mistake was, then it's real easy. You figured it out, and you just need to go over it again. On the other hand, if you cannot understand even after my explanation on this, it certainly doesn't make you bad. It just means that the way I'm explaining it isn't working for you. So you really have two options at that point in time. You can find a friend in the class and see if they can help you with it, or you can reach out to me. Monday nights are the typical night that we have office hours, but if necessary, it could be possible to meet at another time. That's not a guarantee, but it is possible. I do a tremendous amount of work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so those days are usually very difficult for me. That's why we have the Monday lessons, but it's possible that I could make some kind of an arrangement there. All right, so anyway, on number 1, this is A. This is an opposite side, opposite operation situation. And whenever we have that, we always want to start with the variable, and we want to start with the smallest number of variables, which in this particular problem is the minus 5n. And we want to do, the opposite and add plus 5n's to both sides. So that's 7, and then negative 2n plus 5n is 3n. Equals, and now here's your danger moment. That 14 is negative, so make sure you bring down the negative 14. I should mention that I cut a couple of trees down today. I chopped them all up into pieces for a friend who needs firewood. Basically, I was go like crazy, and then we lost power up here. So when the power got lost, I was doing these pretest questions, and I got to be honest with you, I was a little tired when I was doing them. So we may find some mistakes on my part as we're going through these, and if we do, I'll point them out to you. So I wouldn't take these answers necessarily as the gospel, and if I find any that I need to correct, I'll make a note on Moodle so people don't go crazy when they're looking up the answers, and we will discuss it in depth in the video. Okay. The next one is not an opposite side, opposite operation situation. It's the same side, same operation. So combining like terms, 4x plus 3x is 7x. A negative 1, and a negative 2 make negative 3. This is what happens when I was up real early this morning tutoring and then going to the chiropractor and then cutting down trees during the day. So 4x is 3x is 7x, negative 1, negative 2 make negative 3 is 11. Add 3 to both sides, dividing by 7x is 2. And when we see one like number or letter C with the 4 outside the parentheses, it's wise to distribute. 4 times 2n is 8n, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And now it looks just like question 1. As we said before, always begin with the smallest number of n's. So I subtract 3 n's from both sides. That gives me 5n minus 12 is equal to negative 8. And then add 12 to both sides, and I get 5n equals 4. Dividing by 5, n is 4/5. It is possible. It's very possible to get an awkward-looking answer like that. So there's, the drill when I create these pretests. I literally create the test. I'm literally making up all these questions and finding them from old resources I have, particularly the multiple choice ones. And I'm designing it and I'm creating it and I'm trying to make this test reflect approximately the amount of time that we spent, particularly on the recent material, so that it's balanced and it's fair. And then I literally make one up in Moodle, and then I go on to a Word document I have open, like this one, and then I create a question that's similar to the one that I just made in Moodle. Sometimes it's pretty similar, and I change the numbers, but most often not. Most often, it's just, it has the same necessary concepts to it. So if it's on this pretest, in some way, shape, or form, it is on your real test. So if you're going to take this pretest and let's say you're getting a question wrong, and then all of a sudden you say to yourself, oh, well, so I got it wrong. You might as well say there's 5 points off my test grade. So you want to make sure that you get all of this stuff done right at the right time. So for this guy, you want to find the area of the shaded region. And that's going to be the area of the square minus the area of the circle. And that'll give you the shaded region in between. But the first thing I have to do is figure out, well, how big is this square? And if it has an area of 36 for a square, that's length times width, or side times side, is going to equal 36. So it's in a square, it's the same number. So what we're really looking at is the square root of 36, and each side is 6. Working it backwards, if each side was 6, wouldn't the area be 36? Okay. Now, if each of the sides of this square are 6, then the radius of the circle is 3. Because the side of 6 means the diameter. The whole distance across the circle is 9. A radius is half of that, which is 3. So 36 is the area of the square. Pi r squared, which is pi times 3 squared. Oh, yeah, pi times 3 squared, which is 9 pi, is the area of the circle. And if I then do the area of the square minus the area of the circle, I would get the shaded region. But I got a step ahead of myself, and it didn't even ask me what the shaded region was. All it asked me about was the area of the circle, so I don't even have to do the shaded region. This is even easier than I thought. It's just pi r squared, and the radius is 3, so it's 9 pi. Choice 1. Okay, number 3, I was just going to say, be prepared for to find that shaded region, because on the test you will absolutely have one where you have to find the shaded region, and it will involve circles and either rectangles or squares or something like that. So that's kind of why I raced off in that direction on there. So if you were able to follow what I was doing there, that's a good thing. And then there's some probability questions on the test. Number 3 says a bag contains 5 green gumdrops and 6 red gumdrops. Here they are, 5 green, 6 red. And that's a total of 11 gumdrops. But then Kim pulls out a green gumdrop and she just can't resist. She's got to chomp on that green gumdrop. So she takes it out of the bag and she eats it. So what's the probability the next gumdrop she pulls out will be red? Well, now there's not 11 in the bag anymore. There were 11, but she ate one, so now there's only 10. And the one that she ate was green. So there's 4 greens left and 6 reds left. So that means 6 out of 10 is that probability. Number 4, similar to some of the concepts in number 2, but now you want to find the area of this entire figure. Again, it's a square and a circle. So if the radius of the circle is 6, then the side of the square is 12, because the side of the square equals the diameter, which is double the radius. So the area of the square is going to be 12 times 12, which is 144. And then we're not going to do the whole area of the circle. We're only going to do half of it, because only half of the circle is used here. This kind of looks like a basketball key. Okay, so this would be pi r squared, which is pi times the radius squared, and it shows you the radius here is 6. So pi times 6 squared is 36 pi, but remember, we're only doing half of that. So half of 36 is 18. So it's 144 plus 18 pi, choice number 3. Okay, next up, number 5, spinner in the diagram is divided into 6 equal sections. What probability is the least likely outcome? Well, there are 3 odds out of 6. And remember, the probability of anything happening is the number of ways to do the event E over the total number of possibilities. And in this case, there are 6 total possibilities and 3 odds. So it's 3 out of 6. Prime numbers, it's also 3 out of 6, because 2, 3, and 5 are all prime. Remember, a prime number is a number that you can make through multiplication with only 1 in itself. There are no other factors. Number 3, a perfect square. That's the answer because it's 2 out of 6. A perfect square is a number that has an integral square root. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. All of the others you can't say that about. And if the number is divisible by 2, there are 3 of those, 2, 4, and 6. So it's 3 out of 6. Given the following list of student scores on a quiz, 5, 12, 7, 15, 20, 14, 7, determine the median. Well, the first thing you have to do for a median is you have to line them up in order. And in this case, there's a total of 7 scores. So there's a set of 3 below the middle, a set of 3 above, and then there's that score in the middle. So that score in the middle is a 12. I'm done. If there are 2 scores in the middle, I find the average of those 2 scores. Next, determine the mode. Well, there are 2 7s on that list, and the mode is the most frequent or most popular. Next, number 7, find the length of this side, and I can see my right triangle here, right? Here's my right angle. So my legs are x and 7. My hypotenuse is across from the right angle, which is the 18.4. So that's Pythagorean theorem time. Leg squared plus leg squared is equal to hypotenuse squared. You know, I forgot my great teacher in high school, Mr. Brays, used to say, it's time for Uncle Pythagoras. And that's what we're doing here, the Pythagorean theorem. The leg, x squared, plus the leg, 7 squared, is equal to the hypotenuse, 18.4 squared. So x squared plus 49 equals 338.56. Thank God for calculators. Subtract 49 from both sides. X squared is 289.56. Square root that, I get 17.01, but to the nearest centimeter, it would be 17. Next up, number 8, we're talking about box and whisker plots, and it wants to know what is the range. Range is the highest score minus the lowest score. The maximum is the highest score. That's a 75. And be aware here, each of these marks is not 1. We don't go 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 75. Each mark is 5, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. So this mark over here, this is 15. So the highest score is 75, the lowest score is 15. 75 minus 15 is 60. Okay, Sam's grades on 11 chemistry tests were... Which statement is true about the measures? Well, first off, if you have a graphing calculator, you can enter this. You can hit the stat button and go to edit, and go to list 1 and put all the numbers in list 1, and then go to stat calc. And when you do stat calc, you go to one variable stats, it's option 1. And through scrolling through the answers on that screen, it will tell you the mean and it'll tell you the median. And you just look at the numbers to find the mode. If not, you can add all the numbers up and divide by how many there are. That'll give you the mean or the average. And the median, you can line them up in order and see which one's in the middle. In this case, the mean is 81.6. The mode is 76, and the median is 81. Now, if you look at the choices, the only one that's true is choice 1. The mean, 81.6, is greater than the mode, which is 76. Now, every once in a while on something like this, they'll give you a choice where it'll be like mean is greater than median, mean is equal to median, mean is less than median, and it's some other choice. If that's the case, then you know that if they cover all the possibilities, the answer has to be one of those. So if you end up guessing, then you go with it. It has to be one of those. So don't bother looking at the other choice. I was getting thirsty there for a second. Number 10, area of irregular figures. Here I have 2 rectangles, each of which are 3 by 5. So the areas of each of those is 15. And then we've got this quarter of a circle here. So I use the circle formula, which is pi r squared, and clearly the radius is 3. So square 3 and I get 9. And then 9 times pi. And I really do like to use 3.1416 for pi, not because I want to consider myself fancy or extra educated or more learned. No, not at all. Just because when I round off, I know I'm not going to make a mistake. So 9 times pi is 28.2744, or approximately. And then I divide by 4 because it's only a quarter of a circle, and that works out to 7.07. since it wants the nearest square centimeter, I don't have to round it off even to tenths. And in truth, 3.14 would have been fine for this one. But it's 15 and 15 for the two rectangles and 7 for the circle. Adding them up, I get 37. Okay, next up, number 10. 3 high school juniors, Reese, Matthew, and Chris, are running for student council. What's the probability in this particular one that the student will vote for Reese? Well, Reese gets 15 students supporting out of 40 total, so it's 15/40ths. It would be really nice if they gave you 15/40ths as a choice. They don't, so you have to know how to reduce that. It's 3/8. Now, the good news is whichever calculator you're doing will reduce fractions for you. So 3/8 is the correct answer. Number 11. Another box and whisker plot question. Notice I labeled a minimum, first quartile median, third quartile maximum. And when I look at these numbers, I'm not positive I'm right. I think I'm right where they are, but maybe I'm off by one here or there. So you could be too. I wouldn't get too beat up about it. Usually the choices, like in this one, are far enough apart that it's pretty obvious. It says what percent of the scores are less than 72? So the big thing about box and whisker, or interquartile quarters, is you're dividing everything into quarters. So down here it's 25%. In the first half of the box is 25%. In the next little half of the box, if you will, is 25%. And then in this whisker out here, it's another 25%. So it said what percent's less than 72? 25%. As far as the interquartile range goes, just look at the first and third quartiles. The third quartile is 88. The first quartile is 72. 88 minus 72 is 16. Next up, number 12. Angela wants to purchase carpeting for her living room. So we're going to figure out the area. In this case, it's 12 feet by 12 feet. That's 144 square feet. But remember, 9 square feet is equal to 1 square yard. I'm going from feet to yards, which is small to big, so I need to divide. So 144 divided by 9 for the 3 and the 3, because you're doing feet times feet to get feet squared, is 16 square yards. Or you could have converted 12 feet to 4 yards and another 12 feet to 4 yards, and 4 times 4 is 16. Time to end the video. We'll start up with another one in a couple of moments.